Hello everyone, my name is Zura and I'm the Codeholic. Very often, beginner developers ask me the following questions. I want to learn PHP but I don't know where to start. Can you suggest me the best resources? How much time will I need to learn PHP? Which videos should I watch to master in PHP, and etc. If you have similar questions, this video might be for you. In this video, I will try to give you the best possible resources and advices to become a really good PHP developer. I have also created a Github repository, which is a collection of resources to follow. I recommend to subscribe to the repository because I will constantly update it with the latest and best resources. Also, I would like you to contribute to the repository, and let's together create the best GitHub repo for anyone who wants to learn PHP. Looking forward for your pull requests, but please don't submit the pull requests only to promote your tutorial or article. I just want the repository to contain curated and the best possible resources out there. Beginner developer who wants to learn something but does not have any idea where to start is like a person who sits on the crossroad without a map trying to guess where to go. I hope after watching this video you will have a good map in your hands which will give you a precise direction where to go to become a good PHP developer. If you find this video useful, give the video a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel and share the video to reach as many people as possible. Like, subscribe and share will help me to grow on YouTube. Alright, before we jump into the video, let's understand why we should learn PHP. It's 2021 already and many people think that PHP is not necessary and is not the language you should learn in 2021. I obviously don't agree with this, and here I have a couple of reasons. I actually have a separate video which covers the reasons, the full list of reasons why you should learn PHP. You might want to check this out. You will find the video link in the description. But let me mention key facts right here. PHP is multi-purpose programming language, meaning that you can build simple websites as well as complex CRM and e-commerce systems using PHP. You can build REST APIs and so on. It's very easy to learn and easy to set up. PHP has huge community, and if you're stuck in some problem and start Googling, there's a high chance that someone else already had the same problem and you will definitely find some solution in the internet. Nowadays, more than 60% of today's websites are written fully in PHP or use PHP at some point. And there's very high demand on job market on PHP. PHP has very many popular CMSs and frameworks which will help you to build your applications fast and secure. Alright, no further time spending, let's jump into the video. Before we move on PHP and learning on PHP, we need to learn some prerequisites. We should understand how internet and websites work in general. If you are new to programming at all, if you are new to server-side languages, you should understand how internet and websites work. You should understand what happens when you type some URL in your browser, like facebook.com. What's the process going behind? So what is the request and response flow? You should understand what is the HTTP protocol and what are the verbs of HTTP protocol, headers, and etc. After this, you can already learn some basics of HTML and CSS. PHP is embedded language. It is embedded in the HTML, so you definitely need to know basics of HTML and CSS. You should also learn basics of JavaScript because there's a very high chance you will need as a PHP developer. But you must learn version control systems like Git and GitHub. I do have about 15 minutes crash course on Git, which you can find in the GitHub repository for resource links, where you can understand the basics of version control systems and Git in general and GitHub as well. Version control systems are absolutely necessary tool for any developer. No matter if you are PHP, JavaScript, or a Python developer, you will definitely need version control systems. So definitely check out the Git crash course. And as a PHP developer, you need to learn what are the relational databases, how to work them, how to write select statements, joins, how to write insert, delete, and so on. Again, you will find the resource links in the GitHub repository for everything I'm mentioning right here. After this, you can already start learning some PHP basics, like how to set up it, what's the syntax, how to create variables, what are the types, how to work with numbers and strings and arrays, how to write conditionals, how to write loops, how to create functions. I do have about 5 hours video on my channel which covers all these basics around PHP. I do also have a separate playlist which covers, like, each video covers each topic, so definitely check out the repository, GitHub repository, for resource links. After this, you need to learn how to work with dates and how to include files in PHP, how to include one file into another. That's absolutely necessary in PHP. You should also understand how to work with file system, how to create directories and files. What is the JSON? How to work with JSON data. JSON is nowadays the most popular data exchange format. And you need to understand JSON not only as a PHP developer, but in general as a developer. After this, you need to learn some basics of object-oriented programming. Object-oriented programming is an amazing approach to solve certain problems, and it makes really easy certain things. So you need to understand at least basics at that stage. You need to understand what is the CURL, which is a tool to make requests on a remote resources. You need to understand what are the sessions and cookies and how to work with them. And finally, you need to understand how to work with databases using PHP. Okay, next steps will be to understand Composer and autoloading. This is specific to PHP and it's very necessary tool to understand. Composer is a PHP package management tool, and you need to understand it. Alright, next steps will be already to start building some beginner projects. So as soon as you build those projects, you can build other projects or rebuild the already made ones. So I really recommend to build the same project more than once, because when you build it second and third time, you see mistakes which you just didn't see previously. So definitely work on the projects as much as you can and rebuild the same projects several times. All right. Now, at that moment, I think that you should master in object-oriented programming. Basics are not enough in general. You should understand in general and deeply what is object-oriented programming. You should understand what is inheritance, abstraction, polymorphism, and encapsulation, which are called like 4 pillars of object-oriented programming. So these are all like general skills which, in my opinion, every developer should know, not only PHP developer. After this, you can already jump into specifically object-oriented PHP and like work on PHP language on that, like created classes and properties and methods, like use inheritance in PHP, use abstraction. I do have a separate playlist about object-oriented PHP, and again, of course, you can check the resource links in the GitHub repository, and you can check out and you will find everything basically about object-oriented PHP. So you need to understand how to create and work with interfaces, how to work with traits in PHP, how to work with namespaces. You should also understand the static keyword and how to create class constants and how to create magic methods in PHP. There are many additions basically added in recent PHP versions, and you need to understand those additions as well, which definitely improved object-oriented side of PHP. There are much more minor things to learn about object-oriented PHP, so again, check out the resource links in the GitHub repository. After that, you must build some projects using object-oriented PHP. I do have several videos about building projects using object-oriented PHP, so definitely check them out. And again, if you find some other resource links in the internet which you think is cool and awesome, make a pull request and let's make the repository better together. Okay, so after this, I think this is very good challenge. We should build our own MVC framework. So of course we need to understand what is MVC first, because at that moment we don't yet know. So we will understand how to make custom routing when building this. I do have about 6 hours video on my channel where I build MVC framework from scratch. It is split into 8 parts. So check out my channel, or again GitHub repository for the links, and you will find all this process, like how to create custom routing. We should understand what is MVC in general. We will understand how to work with forms and validation. You must know these things as a PHP developer. You must also know what are migrations, and you're gonna learn this if you watch this video. You need to implement login and registration, where you will also connect to the MySQL database. You need to understand what is the encryption in general, and you should learn how to encrypt your passwords to save securely in the database. You should understand what are the middlewares as well. And you should also know how to create composer package. Again, all this process is shown in the MVC framework video I created, and the link is in the GitHub repository. Okay, so when you build that MVC framework, don't stop right here. So the video I mentioned is 6 hours video, but you can enhance it. You can add more things to that project. And this is an amazing way to learn something new. So whenever you watch some tutorial, don't stop right there. Just enhance it, add your own things, add your own features to that, or modify existing features, because that gives you definitely a huge boost in terms of knowledge and experience. Okay, you will struggle at certain points, but you need to definitely struggle to learn something. So don't be afraid about struggling or stucking in something. You need to work, you need to Google, you need to understand and improve as much as you can. Okay, so at that moment, I think that you can already apply for some internships as a PHP developer. So you know the basics, you know object-oriented programming, you know how to work with databases, so you can apply. Make a research in your area about the companies who accept PHP developers for internship, and apply for them. There is very high chance that you will not satisfy all the criteria they require, but you will learn step by step when you start this internship process, because you learn much more when you are actually in the process involved and doing some practice, rather than only doing things in theory or just yourself. So working in the team, being in team gives you a huge knowledge. So try to apply for internships at that moment. But of course, you should not stop learning and following this path. Next step, in my opinion, is to learn what is API. So what is in general API, how to work with APIs, how to create your own APIs, okay? And then you can create several projects where you build your own APIs for this or that purpose, okay? Next steps will be to learn already an existing PHP framework. So if you have already built the custom MVC framework, followed my tutorial, you know how frameworks work in general. Okay, and then learning these frameworks will be slightly easier for you. Laravel is the most popular PHP framework, and because of its huge popularity, I encourage you to start with the Laravel. But there are other frameworks which are very good as well, like E2 framework or Symfony framework. E3, by the way, is under development, so maybe when you're watching this video, E3 is already out there and stable version. Check it out as well. I really like E2 framework. It's awesome and amazing. So choose the framework you want to learn and just follow the tutorials and articles. And again, I do have resource links for these frameworks as well in the Github repository. All right, next things will be to build REST APIs with existing PHP frameworks. So we know what are REST APIs, we know what are frameworks, we learned basics of the frameworks, and now we should learn APIs with existing PHP framework. So there are many ideas to build that, and again, check the resource links to find some tutorials about building APIs with existing frameworks. After this, you can already apply for jobs as a backend developer, not for internship, but as a job, for a job as a backend developer. So at this point, you know most of the things a PHP developer needs to know, like you know how to work with databases, how to work with an MVC framework, how to build an APIs, how to interact with APIs. And you can start working as a backend developer focused on building APIs of the application. Okay, but of course, again, you should improve your skills and try to become a master. So next steps, in my opinion, will be to learn JavaScript better. So you probably know some basics of JavaScript because that was part of the prerequisites, but you need to know JavaScript better. And you need to know also not only JavaScript, but basics of JavaScript frameworks like Angular, React, and Vue. These are three most popular JavaScript frameworks, and you need to know at least basics of one of them. So for example, Laravel basically comes with the support of Vue.js out of the box. And if you're going to learn Laravel, there's a high chance you will need to know basics of Vue.js. Okay, so if you choose Laravel, choose Vue.js as a front-end framework, and in this case, you will feel very comfortable in this framework. Okay, after this, you need to build projects again. So build projects, and again build projects, because when you're building something, you learn most out of it. Okay, so find some tutorials or get some ideas and start building projects. When you are stuck in something, start Googling, start searching, and you will overcome this problem, and you will be like on a higher level in terms of knowledge and experience than you were before you came across that problem. Okay, so building projects is the most important thing you need to remember from this video. Okay, next steps will be to apply for jobs not only as a solely PHP developer on the backend side, but as a full stack PHP developer, because you know JavaScript, you know basics of front-end frameworks, and you can already work on the websites where you have to write some JavaScript as well and PHP as well. Okay, don't try to qualify all the criteria mentioned in the job description. They have listed much more requirements than they actually need, but these requirements are like good to have skills. So as soon as you start working and start practicing at your real work, you will gain those good to have skills if you really need them. Okay, let's say like this. All right, so at that moment you are a PHP developer, like a backend PHP developer or a full stack PHP developer. Congratulations to you. I really hope you achieve that level, but you actually need to don't stop right here and continue mastering in PHP. There are some advanced concepts I encourage you to learn, like you need to get familiar with the terminal and SSH. So you need to understand how to work with them. You need to get familiar with the IDE or editor you are working in. So there are out there several IDEs or editors like PHP Storm, NetBeans, Eclipse, VS Code. Obviously, VS Code is like something you are already familiar with. It's a free and you can start with VS Code if you want. My favorite IDE is PHP Storm. I do have actually a comparison video of VS Code and PHP Storm. It's a 2 hours video. I try to cover most of the things, at least like most of the important things of these like 2 IDEs, which like every PHP developer needs to use, and you can check out that resource link in the GitHub repository as well. But choose the IDE and get familiar with it as much as you can. So when you are familiar with the IDE, whatever is this, so like your working level is much higher and you are much more productive. And you can do certain things in less time than you were doing before. Okay, so get familiar with IDEs and editors. You need to also know the basics of Linux architecture and understand like the file system and how to navigate there using terminal, and you should know like comfortable right there. That's absolutely necessary for the next thing, which is a Docker. So Docker is a containerization system, and Docker is getting very popular and a very necessary tool nowadays. So if you want to master in PHP, you need to understand basics of Docker, how to create, how to pull containers, how to create images, and so on. Okay. Again, if you're interested in this, check out the GitHub repository for resource links. You need to also understand what are the design patterns, what design patterns are out there, and understand and know which design pattern is suitable for this or that problem. Okay, design patterns definitely make you a better, knowing design patterns definitely make you a better PHP developer. And in my opinion, basics of data structures and algorithms is an excellent addition to your tool set, which I encourage you to learn at least some basics of data structures and algorithms. That helps you to have your brain like always ready for challenges, and there are certain problems which you can directly apply your data structure or algorithm and boom, it's going to solve your problem magically. Okay, so knowing those will definitely help in the future in certain problems. Alright guys, here is the end of this video. If you like the video, hit the like button. If you are new to my channel, hit the subscribe and bell notification button and share this video. Like, subscribe and share helps me to grow, and if you enjoy this video and if this video help me also to grow on YouTube. All the resource links is available in the GitHub repository. If you know some resource links which I don't have in the GitHub repository, make pull request. Okay, let's make the repository the best possible repository out there for anyone who wants to learn PHP. Check out the Codeholic on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram as well. And thanks for watching, and see you in the next time.